Welcome. I am so excited to come back and talk with you again this year. I am honored to be part of this wonderful community. And it's so important for us to have this community because sometimes we can just feel so alone and not know what to do or where to go. And so many of us speakers, we're here to help you, support you, and give you some tools, some insight on it worked for us and maybe it will work for you. And so one of the things that I want to talk about today is believing. So I say start with believing because I really do believing that is the most important thing that we can do. And that was something I had to learn in my journey to where I am now. I didn't have that for so long, and that's where a lot of my struggle came from. And so I honestly and believe that that's the first thing that we all have to start with. And that's what I do with my clients. I can give my clients tools and strategies. And that's what I did in the beginning when I was working with them. And they weren't succeeding. And I realized, well, that's one of the things that I did for myself, and I still do, is I had to have that in the forefront, like that first and foremost. Because if we don't have belief, then it doesn't work. And that's the difference. Like the difference between succeeding and not succeeding, it really does come down to believing. So I'm Karen Schaible, and I work with nurses, but pretty much I work with all women. I talk to nurses, but if any woman comes and wants help and support, I will be there. And so what I do is I work on the emotional eating, the overeating, that, that's controlling them. They feel so controlled by the food and the snacking and life happening, and they find themselves eating. And what I do is I work on that so that they can feel like, sane and in control. And they get to a place where food is just food. And that's how they lose weight with ease. But more importantly, enjoy their life, like have that life, that fulfilled life. Because right now, just being so fixated and focused on food and weight takes up so much brain space. So how I started on this journey to where I'm talking with you today is my struggle really started around age 8. I, grew up in a home. My dad had some concepts on discipline and how children should be. And I didn't I didn't fit in that box. So we had a lot of butting heads. And as it went along, I took on a lot of meaning on myself. Like I really took a lot of things on that there was something wrong with me, I'm not good enough, those thoughts. So I want you to hold on to this. So, because we're going to tie believing into some of these thoughts I had. So I'm not good enough, there's something wrong with me. I don't fit in. I struggled in school too, and my sisters didn't. And I'm not smart enough. Like all of those things. So I took those on. I took on what my dad did. I took on all these things, and my mom felt sorry for me. And so she loved to bake and cook, and so she gave me love, support by giving me food. So at a very young age, I learned that food was tied to feeling better. So I believed those things. And so as I went along, I grew up, and at age 18, I had been bullied and picked on all my life because I was the fat kid growing up. And it was I took on the belief that like I said, something wrong with me because I am the fat kid, and all these things that were said to me. So at age 18, I decided, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to lose this weight. And that's my first crash diet. I lost 50 pounds in 6 weeks. Supreme, extreme diet, deprivation, restriction, and exercising. And that was the start of my yo-yo dieting life. I did this for 30 years. So I got married young because I had such low self-esteem and such low self-confidence. I didn't think anybody else would ever want to marry me. And all I wanted in life was to get married and have kids. So I got married young, had 3 wonderful children, but along the way, with everything I felt, I, really got really depressed. I was very anxious. I did everything for everybody else. I was that people pleaser. And I never wanted anybody to be mad at me or upset with me. And I put myself last. And it ended up being not a great place to be in. So being a nurse, working, raising a family, having all this internal battle going on in my head, I came to believe life, it was hopeless. I'll never make this change in life. I'll never lose this weight. I'll always be the fat person in life. I'll never fit in. I'm never good enough. I believed all of those things that my brain fed me. I believed them to be true. And so at 42, I hit a really low place. It was my rock bottom, I call it. So mentally, I wasn't well. I went to all the psychiatrists, the psychologists, and I was on meds, and nothing was making it any better. And then I ended up getting a strep A. It was a blood infection, which just knocked me out. So mentally, I was struggling. All I could do was get out of bed to go to work. Wasn't there for my children. Like, I really didn't even go to their games. All I wanted to do was lay in bed. And then on top of it, being physically not well. And now I know, like in that moment, I remember that one moment where I really believed I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. And in that moment, I had suicidal thoughts, but I knew there was no way, like in my heart, I knew that that wasn't the path I wanted to go. And so in that moment, I'm so grateful for it. I knew I was going to find another way, and I did. And that's how I'm here with you today. But it does take that point sometimes that we hit that rock bottom. And that's why I want to talk about believing, because I don't want you to hit that rock bottom like I did. And so, I hit that rock bottom. I was still a nurse. I found a group coaching program, and it worked on my inner self. That's what changed my whole life. My rock bottom, my body being sick, yelling out at me, pay attention, you need to do something different. And I found a group coaching program. So it wasn't about losing weight, because remember, that was my whole focus, was losing this weight. But in that moment, that was like not even part of my journey. It was, I just wanted to feel better. And I found that group coaching program, and it worked on the beliefs that I had about myself. And that's where my whole life changed. I was able to leave an unhealthy marriage of 22 years, and I developed a better relationship with my kids, my life, my own self, and I lost 110 pounds. And if I can do it, you can too. I know you've heard that before, but it is true. I am no special unicorn. I am just like you, but I just figured that out. I figured out what actually does work to help us lose weight, maybe have a better marriage, better relationships, feel better about ourselves. So I was a nurse. I was, still working as a nurse, and I ended up at the bariatric clinic. And that was where I ended up leaving nursing, because being at the bariatric clinic, I knew what it took to lose this weight. And I'm working with these clients, and they're going for the surgery, to stomach surgery, very extreme. And I'm watching them gain the weight back after, a year post-op. And I felt so out of alignment with myself. Here I am helping them go to surgery, but I'm watching them gain it back because I knew they hadn't done this inner work. And that's when I knew I wanted to help nurses. I want to help other women do what works so they can have the life that they live, like that life they want, the dream life. So let's go back to believing. Like, why is believing so important? Believing is really, so what I want you to really think is believing. We believe these thoughts to be true. So belief is only a thought. That's all it is. We take on these beliefs. Like me, for so long, believed I wasn't good enough. And that just held a hold. Like our beliefs guide and direct everything we do. All the actions we take are because of our beliefs, our thoughts. So we have thoughts that really help us move us forward, but we have thoughts or beliefs. So we have beliefs, thoughts, both are the same. A belief is just a thought that we are thinking over and over and over again that we now believe to be true. And those thoughts, beliefs, are now stored in our unconscious mind. They are running on autopilot in your mind. You're not even thinking really about them. Something happens and then they just pop out. That's all that's going on. They just pop out and they're there presenting, this is the fact, this is what's going on, and everything you do from there is guided by what that thought and that belief is. So let's go back then to, we have beliefs, thoughts. Some are helpful, some are not helpful. The non-helpful thoughts, the thoughts that hold us back from getting to where we want to go, to succeeding, are called limiting thoughts. Limiting meaning we have a thought that is holding us back. That's all it is. Limiting us from moving in the direction we want to go. Limiting us from succeeding to where we want to go, what we want to do. And so that's why we have to really pay attention, become aware of what our beliefs are, and start challenging them. Because like I said, when I was telling you about my story, they're not good enough, there's something wrong with me, I can't do it. Like that was one of my thoughts for a long time. I believed I couldn't do certain things. And that was really about the weight loss. Like remember, like I did all the diets. I did the fad diets, the diet clinics, the shakes, the pills, the detoxes, like everything you can imagine. And nothing worked. So I took on a belief that I can't do this. It will never work. So every time, so this is why beliefs are important. Every time I went on another diet, that belief was sitting in the back of my mind. I didn't consciously go, okay, I'm going to think this today. I'm going to think I can't do it. Nothing ever works. No, because I had said it so many times, it just automatically was there. Like I didn't, it's interesting because now I really realize I'm aware when it pops up, but so many times it is there, but we're really not hearing it, but it is there. So when those beliefs are popping up for me, no wonder. The minute it got hard, the minute it was a struggle, my brain would then bring up, well, see, I told you can't do it. Like that's what our brains are. Our brains are wired. Our brains are wired to keep us safe and comfortable. That's normal. So if you're struggling with this, please do not beat yourself up. Please, please don't, because you are normal. You know no other way. What's happening is our brains like to keep us safe, like I said. So when we're wanting to make a change, that's us coming out of the cave. That's unsafe. So your brain is going to tap in to those thoughts that you have, and then they're going to, like if you have that thought that pops up, it's going to pop up, but then the focus that you have, so, you know, if you're saying I can't, That's your focus. And your brain, remember, it wants to keep you safe. So it's going to show and prove everything for the reason why you can't do it, because it doesn't want you being in an unsafe space. Change it sees as unsafe. So if you have this thought that runs in the back, you're trying to make a change, that thought is going to pop up. That's your focus. That's all you see is you can't. And whatever you're focusing on, your brain is just going to show you all the reasons why that's true. That's all it is. So that's why, what do you believe? Do you believe you can't do something? Do you doubt? Like, is that feeling of doubt? And the other concept to this is it's the thoughts, the beliefs, but also the feeling. So if you're struggling with the thoughts, the believing, tap into what feeling you're having. Are you feeling doubt? Like doubting you can do it? Is that empowering you or disempowering you? Like really start like tapping into your feeling, like how you're feeling, because so many of us are zoned out, like are disconnected. We're disconnected from that feeling because it's uncomfortable. Negative feelings are uncomfortable. And so we turn to food to numb out it, to avoid it, to deny it. But I want you to allow it, to embrace whatever feeling you're having. Just really allow it, because it's a signal for you to pay attention to what your thoughts are, what you're believing. That's all it is. Because we have a circumstance, situations going on, we have thoughts about it, and then the thoughts create our feelings, which then drive our actions. So that's why when you've ever heard somebody say, well, just don't do that, you can't just stop not doing it, because your belief, your thoughts, your feelings, if they aren't in alignment with stopping it, it's not going to work. So that's what I teach, and that's what I work with my clients on. You know, we want to lose weight, we want to run a marathon, we want to just make a small change, whatever it is. But we have to tap into what are our thoughts and what are our feelings. That's why so many of us struggle with making those changes and having them stick, because we're letting these thoughts run in the background of our mind. We have, I think they say something like 60,000 thoughts a day running in our brain, but there's only a small percentage of them that we are actually really aware of. The rest are running on autopilot in the back of your mind. So if you are wanting to believe, like that is what you're going to have to do, is just start getting curious, paying attention to what beliefs do I have, what thoughts do I have running in the back of my mind. One of the best ways to do this is grab a journal. And I know some people are like, oh, journaling. But what I want you to look at it is, it's not a chore. It's an exploration. Get curious on what's going on in my brain, because you do have a choice. Like, we think these thoughts are true, but they're not. They're our choice to believe to be true. We can choose whatever we want. So if you want to choose something different, if you want a different outcome in your life, then you're going to have to start getting curious on, what am I thinking? What do I want to actually believe, right? And the only way you can do it is to start uncovering these thoughts, these beliefs. Like, I hear them called like the BS thoughts. They are sometimes BS thoughts because they're just not true, but yet they drive everything we do. So pull a journal, I don't care if you have a scrap piece of paper or a wonderful, beautiful notebook, but just as your day goes by, sit down, like go in silence and really just let whatever pops up in your mind and write it down and start questioning it. It's like, is this true? And how can I poke holes in it if I really believe it to be true? If it's true and it's helping you, don't poke holes in it. But if it's not true, then really start poking holes in it. Start challenging it, because you get to choose whatever you think and believe, even though I know you do not believe that right now, because that was something that really I didn't understand for a very long time. So believing. Do you want to believe that you can do this? Do you want to believe that you are worthy? Because that's another one that a lot of my clients really struggle with. They don't believe they are worthy. And the thing is, we get to choose. Like, what would be the harm of believing you're worthy over believing there's something wrong with you, until you lose the weight, until you change your job, whatever it is, you're not worthy. Why? The thing is, your brain is just working hard on believing this side because you practiced it so long. So what's happening is you're just fighting for your limitations. Remember that limiting belief limits you. So you going to the other side on focusing on your problems, your worries, that is just you fighting for that limitation. What if you fought for the other side? What would the harm be in it? There's no harm at all. It actually will help you move forward. But it is a practice. You do have to practice this. It doesn't just magically happen, because right now, this is the way your brain is wired. I call it's rewiring your brain. You have to rewire your brain in a whole new way. And so, yeah, it is going to be discomfort, uncomfortable. And so you have to start getting comfortable with discomfort. And that's one of the things that, again, our brains are wired to feel like comfort. The discomfort is unsafe. So our brains are like danger, danger whenever you're going to feel discomfort, right? But embrace the discomfort. Make it okay. Tell your brain it's okay. It's okay that I'm trying to make this change and I'm feeling uncomfortable and it's, bringing up some uncomfortable feelings, but that's okay. That's the only way you can make your way through. And I guarantee you, the more you practice it, the more you do it, the more it actually becomes your new programmed default. Right now, the default is just on fighting against that discomfort. But get curious in that this discomfort. Like, that's what really, really, really makes a difference. So let's go back to where this all started, the believing. So I know for me, when I started my business, I didn't believe that I could do this. I had so many doubts. So what I want you to really pay attention to is right now, we have like the majority of your brain, let's say 95% probably, is filled with all this doubt and worry and overwhelm, like all, I want to call them negative emotions, because that's what most people refer them to. So they're filled with that. But what I want you to see is, I want you to see it's got to be a shift. Instead of 95% of your brain being filled with the problems, the doubting of not believing, to only 5% of that. Shift it. So believing, you're not going to believe 100% right off the bat, because your brain is going to pull you back. It's going to remember, like it's going to pull to all the doubts. Remember this. Remember how so many times it didn't work before. Remember how many times you failed, and failing is just linked to perfection. So what I teach is there's no such thing as failing. You learn and grow from it. But your brain is going to pull you back to that. So start with allowing just 5% of it. 5% of that doubt to be there. And every time it does pop up, what I want you to do is just redirect. Redirect to I choose. You have to make a choice. Like, it really comes down to, I am choosing to believe. And that every time my brain is offering me a whole other story, I'm going to say no, because this is what I'm committed to. I am committed to believing. And I know your brain is like, well, it's not for me. I'm different. I've tried it before. And I get it, because that's just your brain helping you, trying to keep you safe. That's all. You're normal. What I want you to do is, when it comes up, I'm like, yeah, but this is where we're going to go now. And it's not all going to, like, the other thing is with believing, just because you believe doesn't mean everything's going to work out the way you want it to. What happens when those things happen is when you are believing, you look at them from a place of, remember I said, there's no such thing as failure. You look at anything that's not working, anything that's not happening, any struggle that you feel you're going through as getting curious on why isn't it working? What can I do different? That's the place you want to come from, instead of the place of doubt. Because I want you to, one last thing before we go on a bit is, I want you to tap into, like, hold your chest or your stomach, wherever you feel your feelings. So for me, it's my chest. So when you're feeling that feeling of doubt, how does it feel in your body? I know for me, like, I had a client, we got off a call just earlier, and when we were doing some things, I could see that it was in a space of worry, doubt, fear, because I could see her shoulders rise. I could see her holding her breath a little more. And she was tight. So that's what happens with a lot of us. When we have those negative feelings, it's that emotion that we're feeling in our body. And what do we do when we have those negative, and I'm putting negative in quotations again, because we have to have negative to see positive. But so many of us, we don't want the negative. So that's why we look at it as negative. But, you know, in our body. So for me, yeah, I get tight and I hold my breath, and my chest is just so heavy. And it's really just like, I can feel like it's a lead weight on me. So what do you do from the place when you're feeling that? It closes you down. It closes you off. Like, you can't see and find a solution. Like, it just feels too much. Now I want you to come from a place of a belief that you have. So think of some belief that you want to have. So I believe that I can figure anything out. And I feel empowered, in control, whatever it is. But I like the word empowered. I feel empowered. And from that place of empowered, like, you've got energy. Like, it just feels expansive. I don't feel tight. And my brain can then look at finding a solution, seeing a different way. Like, it brings me, remember, thoughts, feelings drive our actions. I will do things that will get me to where I want to go versus shut me down. That's what this is about. So that's why I say believing everything you want to do in life, everything we want to accomplish in your life, all starts from believing. So like I said in the beginning, I can give tools, I can give you worksheets, I can give strategies to my clients. For myself, my business, I have all the strategies, I've done all the courses. But if I don't fully believe in myself, believe that I'm worthy, believe that I can make a difference, believe that I can do this, just have a belief, like, have a good, strong belief, and choose to believe that, then no matter any strategy I have, it's not going to work. It will not work. We have to start with believing. And even if I know you're going to struggle with it because it's something new and different. I get it. Took me a while to get to this place. And then I do it in one aspect of my life with the food and the eating. I'm great at that. But now with my business, I've got to do this all over again. And one of the other things is, sometimes our brains want certainty. We want to be certain that this is going to work. I can't believe it's going to work unless I can see, be certain. Get comfortable with uncertainty, because life actually really is. We have no certainty in life. We have no clue what could happen in the next minute. So get comfortable with that uncertainty. Let go of the worry, because worry never solves anything. Worry is just us looking at past, looking at future, trying to control what might happen in the future. But only thing we can control is what we're thinking and feeling. That's all we have control over. So believing, get comfortable with the emotions, get comfortable with a discomfort and the uncertainty. That's where you will go. And so it really is about, even if you're struggling to take this in, just believe that you can believe for just a small little bit in the day, for one thing. Just pick one small thing. Don't start with something, you can change your whole life. I believe I can change everything in my life for the better. Start small. What is one small thing you can believe in yourself today? I can believe that, for my clients, I can believe that in that moment of, my emotional eating and my brain telling me I want to eat, I can believe that I can just allow my feelings. That's it. But you have to find a believable thought. It has to be true to you, because remember, our brains look for what we're saying. And if you don't believe it to be true, then your brain's going to fight against it. So start with what you can believe in this moment. And then you go from there. That's how we build up to the point where we can believe that we can handle anything that life throws at us. As you start small and you and you see the results, you see, yeah, I did do it. That's how you build the confidence. Confidence doesn't come first. Confidence comes from doing and seeing. That's how we keep going. And then believe a little higher and believe a little higher. That's where you're going to get to succeed, to where being successful, accomplishing where you want to go. So I hope this really is helpful to you. I know for me, I use this. Everything I'm talking about, I use to this day. I teach with my clients because it does make a difference. Ending emotional eating with my clients, it's not about white knuckling. It's about starting with believing that I can figure this out. I can do it. And as they keep proving to themselves, every time they do it, one step here, one step here. And it's about building small little baby steps, one win after another win. And it's funny how one client said, when is this all going to click? And we just said, just keep believing. And when you believe, you just make a baby step towards it and towards it. And one day she goes, how did it happen? I didn't even know, I didn't even see it coming. It just, one day I woke up and it's amazing. That's how we get to where we want to go. So thank you.